Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so we're talking about my Banshee one-shot team. This is going to be incredibly scuffed, and also it's got Fenris in it, which is a brand new unit in the game, but most importantly, there is no Song of Stars artifact. I do not recommend trying to make a team without it. I would just recommend waiting to get one. You don't have to one-shot stuff, but this is my team. I want to show the screen to actually prove that this is possible. I have won 4 out of, this is out 6 times. So it's 40% win rate or thereabout. I'm going to be honest, it's not incredibly high, but if you don't have a leveled up Song of Stars, you probably are very familiar with the artifact not proccing correctly because you either get 15%ed or you don't have it maxed. I'm just saying, that happens very often. So let's go over this team because this is like, I'm going to be 100% honest, the gear on my account is, I have some good gear. Especially the new gear that we get as a new player. If you haven't joined the game, Epic Dash is fantastic for new players. A lot of the events give a lot of really good stuff. This rage gear that you see on Fenris is literally the reason I actually was able to one-shot. You get this through one of the events. The events aren't shown for me right now, but you will see it. It will pop up eventually, and you can get free rage gear, which is really, really good. This is his current build. As you can see, to be honest, I worked on it for a very long time, trying to get this to work, and it looks very, very good. He does have this, but this is not actually that relevant for him right now. I do have an extra copy of him. It's a long story. I'm not even going to get into that, but I could unlock his imprint, but I don't have it right now. So it's just kind of sitting here. It's not being used. Probably the better for this video, just to prove that this is not going to be like pay to win type of thing. So let's go over the team first of all, because seeing the team might explain things a little bit better. The thing is, with this type of thing, when it comes to one-shotting anything, it's always RNG because for some reason in this game, we have 15% for PvE content. We please stop having a 15% chance to miss debuffs in dungeons. That's just my opinion. But this is the team. You will notice I've tried to go very free-to-play friendly in terms of this. We obviously have Vivian. I won't say Vivian for a moment, that's a completely different game. Vivian, obviously, a very good Banshee unit. You literally get for free through the event for Banshee. We also have Anos and also Wanda. I want to very quickly mention, these units do not have to be specially changed. I simply have them specially changed because I've been using them for other things. You technically can specially change Anos for effectiveness for Wanda. I also think you can specially change Wanda for effectiveness for herself. They kind of help each other in a way. But let's go ahead and just go into this. I'm hoping my RNG goes well first of all, but I'm just going to go through a team and just tell you how this actually works. So, like I mentioned before, there is no Song of Stars artifact. The main thing we do right now is we go pretty slow. My team is my quickest character is 180 speed. These guys will attack me, but that's actually okay. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and try and get one attack from Fenris, because unfortunately Fenris needs Fighting Spirit, which makes him a much more difficult character to play with. This team would be completely different if it wasn't Fenris. I just want to mention that now. Fenris has to attack once to unlock his third skill. That's basically how it works. Let's go ahead and just attack. We're going to clean this wave up here. We're going to go ahead and use Vivian's third skill, and then we're going to go ahead and go after. We don't have our exclusive equipment because I've tried to make sure that the speed's good. All you need to know is Fenris attacks, and then we clean up with Vivian. Vivian has to one-shot that. She has to one-shot that. I want to mention that now. She has to one-shot that. Right, now onto this. So, this is where the debuffs are important. And also, of course, if your Fenris isn't built well enough, you might just not be able to do this, but you might see we actually have a target on the actual boss. This is something you get from Song of Stars. If you don't know already, Song of Stars artifact is one of the best for one-shotting bosses in the game because it increases damage suffered, and also if you pair with defense break, obviously it's giga damage. Wanda, thankfully, anytime she takes a turn, actually gives a target on a random enemy for 2 turns. I'm not too sure if this is affected by effectiveness because it's a passive, but regardless, I gave a 65% effectiveness, like you should for anyone that's debuffing in Wyvern or Banshee, for example. That is what I've done. So, she is done with her job now. All she's going to do now is do a little bit of damage, but I don't really have her much damage. I gave her a little bit of flat attack, just so we can maybe take down a little bit of HP, but no crit damage because we don't want to have RNG crits here and there. So first attack here, boom. Next up, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and hit with Viviana's first skill. This is very important as well. Viviana's first skill, the more damage it does, obviously, the better for your one-shot character, Fenris. My Viviana does quite a lot of damage. She will take this boss down to pretty much the exact amount I need her to be able to one-shot with. You might have to adjust her, you might have to give her more damage. She obviously has to one-shot the wave before. It's very important. Now, we're just going to go ahead and hit. This should do some pretty big damage. Definitely very good. Now, the sole reason we have Anos here is to go ahead and get the defense break. You will notice as well, if I have my face here very quickly, we're about to use our one-shot skill, but one important thing is, on my Anos and my Wanda, I only have them using first skills. On Wanda, I think you can get away with using third skill, but it's just a little bit of a longer animation. Anos has to have a first skill activated. I actually can't show it because we're already about to one-shot, but if we go ahead and let my boy Fenris one-shot here, let's see it done. And there you go. Okay. Alright, listen, that doesn't happen. That does not happen most of the time, alright? I promise that does not happen most of the time. Also, we just one-shot that. That's funny. Okay, regardless. This is so embarrassing. 99% of the time, we win anyway. And in that case, to be fair, it's not a massive deal because we won. But, you know, maybe you just get a little bit more flat attack on your Wanda. Maybe you increase your Vivian stats. I'm actually not too sure why I didn't one-shot. I think maybe we got a crit last time, but regardless, it works. And that's the main thing that matters. And that is a team. I'll go ahead and show one final thing here in this team. Like I mentioned before, you have to make sure the first skills are not set on your Anos and your Wanda. Like I said, Wanda doesn't matter specifically, but Anos, she has to use her first skill for a defense break. If you make her use a third skill or second skill, she's going to end up kind of not doing the defense break when you want it. And once again, we clear up. Let's see if we can actually do it again this time as well. We just want to target and we want the defense break. If you miss one of them, it's an automatic loss, basically. That's how it usually goes for these type of one-shots anyway. And there you go. We missed that, and it's basically how it is. And yeah, that's the team. So, let's go over the actual gear a little bit more now, because obviously we showed Fenris's gear. I hope that is at least a team that some people be like, oh, okay, that's an interesting idea. I'm going to make it a bit better. There are replacements, but in a way, I think that's probably the only team I can think of using. You basically need a character that can defense break on the first skill. Honestly, this is a problem. Fenris is such an annoying unit in a way because he needs fighting spirit. If we didn't need fighting spirit, we could just use Leo, and we could also use Viviana. Yeah, Viviana. God, always forget about that. Yeah, and then you could just have Song of Stars and boom, gone. But he has to attack. Kind of annoying. Maybe there's a way around it. Let me know. Maybe I'm just an idiot. That's also possible. But right. Now, obviously, Daydream Joker on a rage set. You don't need a rage set on him. I've done it with like a good destruction set. But obviously, rage set is like, I believe, the best for one-shotting, basically. You could also add a torrent set to him and do even more damage. I've seen people do that on Straze. Pretty sure it applies for him as well. Obviously, very good unit in terms of one-shotting Banshee. Not too sure if I'd honestly pull for him because we don't know what's actually coming up next. Hold off, but still, obviously a very good unit. Now, Vivian. Vivian is actually pretty built, to be honest. This is all free gear as I'm aware. I think maybe this is not free gear. I'm pretty sure it's free gear as well. I think all of this is free gear, which is kind of mental. Thank you, Epic 7, for all the gear, by the way. Actually, genuinely good. But she is obviously built with a lot of attack. I've had to adjust. I've been doing so much cooking today. Unfortunately, the actual kitchen's just completely burnt. But it kind of worked out. It kind of worked out in the end. She is built on a lot of damage. She needs a lot of it. Obviously, one-shotting. The first one-shot wave, you don't need crazy gear. But to do as much as possible, you might have to obviously increase your skill on the first skill. Second skill, I mean, without doubt, unless you can get away with like giga damage and not improving this, but at that point you probably don't need this video. First skill, it can be improved. I might even do it, but my Fenris will probably be better eventually anyway, so I don't feel like I need to do that. Daydream Joker for more damage. Anything that does damage is always good. Obviously, there's also stuff that buffs our damage, which I'll actually go over right now, and we'll hop over to the Wanda and the Anos. Love saying her name. If you say it several times, it almost sounds like you're trying to say something else. So, the gear on these characters, I'm just going to say, not very good. But one reason why I think using these two characters is really good is actually something that I did not intentionally think of, but you actually have imprints for both of these characters for attack. If you max this out, your team, your Fenris and your Vivian will have higher attack. If we also look at Wanda, Wanda also has that. So you can kind of see the correlation here. Both of these characters basically buff our attack with their imprints, which makes actually raising our units a bit easier. If you have maximum imprints of both of these units, you get like almost 200 attack on both your Fenris and your Vivian. That's really good. But what artifacts and gear are they on? Just straight away gonna say, you do not need good gear at all on them. You can literally throw anything on them. The main thing they need is 65% effectiveness. I believe that is how much you need for hunts. 65% effectiveness, so they can land their debuffs. Like I mentioned before, I'm not sure if Wanda requires effectiveness on this, or maybe passives work differently. But regardless, I have her on effectiveness just to be safe. I have way too much. She only needs 65. That's how much she usually say in Wyvern, so I'm going to assume it's the same here, and it goes the same for Inos as well. You can obviously increase this a little bit as well with the specially change missions, well, skills, I guess. Some of these do actually like improve effectiveness of all dark elemental allies. That can help Wanda. Wanda can also increase her own effectiveness through this. It becomes a little bit easier to build, and the gear is really trash. We have a 78 HP necklace, absolutely terrible, not powered up at all. We have a level 6 helmet, well, level 6, upgraded 6 times helmet, has literally just a bit of bulk. That's all I wanted on her. Literally no set really going on. Bit of speed, obviously she's going to need a bit of speed. In terms of speed tuning, basically what you want is, you want Wanda to go first, to deal, to put target on the boss, and then you have Vivian attack with a first skill. With that, Vivian will do more damage. It'll make actually the first skill a little bit better, and it'll probably make it a bit easier for you to actually deal damage to the boss on that final boss stage, and then follow up obviously with your, one-shot character. And then you have obviously Anos go, and then the one-shot character, which in my case is Fenris. So we have Wanda, Vivian, Anos, and then we have Fenris. And that is how it goes. The main reason why you want Anos to go second to last is because she can actually boost up your attack bar of the ally who does not have the highest attack. The problem with this is it can sometimes kind of mess with tuning, because you might end up raising a character that you don't want raised. Like you might make Fenris take another turn if he's way too fast. If my Anos is way too fast. And obviously, if he takes a turn in front of Vivian, he might use his third skill on the actual first wave, which you don't want to really have happen. It's really just speed tuning, but you want it to be slow as well for the actual boss. If you didn't know this, and there's a lot to kind of preface with this, I hope you're actually getting what I'm trying to say here, but with the boss, she can also cleanse her debuffs. From what I've seen, I'm pretty sure she cleanses debuffs, so you want your whole team to go after her turn. So the boss should basically go, and then your team goes, because you can put all the debuffs on, and then you can attack. The main thing you have to kind of take into account is, like, some of these characters have a bit of bulk on them, barely anything, but they have a little bit, just because we are expecting the first wave to at least hit us. With this, though, it requires basically no speed gear, which is the main thing. Of course, Vivian and also Fenris require pretty good gear. Fenris requires very good gear, just straight up. But obviously, Fenris is a very good one-shot character. So, okay, artifact-wise though, artifacts are very interesting. So artifacts, literally anything that buffs attack. You can also have like artifacts that buff crit rate. anything that buffs a team and allows them to maybe do more damage, or maybe buff like their stats, I find that to be very good. You can technically use like Midnight Bloom. I actually use Warhorn on Wanda. No specific reason to use it on Wanda, but I do use it on her because obviously buffs attack. You can also gain extra turn, but this is not really too relevant in this. Extra attack though, very, very nice. Obviously makes doing more damage helpful. You want to try and get as much damage as possible, so the artifacts help. And we also have this, which you can get from one of the side stories. This is Super Duper Water Gun Shooter. I love the name every single time. But this actually increases allies' attack and also effectiveness by 7.5%. Technically a good supplement for effectiveness. You can probably get away with like much lower effectiveness, especially with like the skill tree and also an artifact like this. And yeah, that is the basic team I want to show today. As you can obviously see, there is no Song of Stars. If we take a look at Song of Stars, and it's actually kind of an important thing to take a look at, you will notice that with Song of Stars, if you don't have any copies into it, it is, I believe, 75% chance when it's plus 15. Song of Stars, let's take a look. This is actually something I've been curious about. There's a way of looking, not usage statistics. 50%, I'm pretty sure 75%. Yeah, it's 75%. So, if this is 75%, this is the same chance as our defense breaker landing her defense break, which is actually kind of important to notice. Obviously, if you get Song of Stars, if you get one ball of knowledge into it, it is better to use a Song of Stars team. But if you just have a Song of Stars, technically, this is just as good value, I guess, in a sense, you could say. Obviously, 75% chance to decrease defense for one turn. If you can find a unit that decreases defense of a character with just their first skill, and it's higher than 75% chance, let me know, because that is a very big deal. I try to go free to play friendly, but I hope, anyway, this kind of covers everyone's talk about. Main things to take out of this video: 65% effectiveness on your Wanda and your Inos. You can technically use a Tanra Guard for instead of Inos, but the problem is that he actually dual attacks. Well, increases dual attack chance, which you do not want because you might end up doing too much damage to the boss, and that would be very bad. But these are pretty much the stats I go for. Low speed, as long as the turn order is correct, you're pretty much sorted. You want to go after the boss, and you're done. 65% effectiveness. Damage obviously has to be very high. I'd recommend experimenting with it. Best way to really know is by defeating the first wave. And if you defeat the first wave with Vivian, then you are on your way to potentially doing big damage to the boss. And technically speaking, you don't even have to do big damage to the boss if you get a good enough piece of gear on him. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hopefully this helps. I know the pain of not having Song of Star. I've before very many times not had the artifact. I do recommend picking it because it is just very good for one-shotting. Don't feel pressure to one-shot in this game. It's not something you have to do. There is specific content that is like very annoying to not one-shot, but regardless, you don't have to do it. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you next one, and have a wonderful day. Adios.